Welcome back to the Photaudiography podcast. I'm your host Luke, and today I'll be talking all about cell phone photography, and I even have a special guest that'll be joining us a little later today. Cameras on cell phones have come a long way over the years. However, they do not replace mirrorless or DSLR camera quality. Though the quality has improved over the years, cell phones cameras are limited in many ways. First of all, the lack of manual settings on many cell phone cameras can be challenging for photographers who want to take control of exposure settings and other settings. Also, since the sensor on cell phone cameras is very small, it's hard for it to gather as much light as a mirrorless or DSLR camera, and with enlarging photos, the smaller sensor often results in a degraded image quality. Cell phone cameras sometimes use multiple camera and lenses on the back of the phone to provide different options, such as wider aperture for one lens or more optical zoom using another. Many cell phone cameras use digital zoom, which is basically cropping a photo and not actually using the optics of the lens to zoom. You can get great results with a cell phone camera if you know how to compose a scene and use what you have properly. If your photo is only going on social media, cell phone camera quality should be sufficient. However, if you're planning on printing your images, especially enlargements, you'll want to use a more powerful camera than your cell phone. A good smartphone camera is great for someone wanting to experiment with photography and composition, but I would encourage anyone interested in being creative with photography as a hobby or as a side job to invest in a DSLR or mirrorless camera. On the other hand, I don't think every person that wants to take decent quality photos of candid family moments needs to invest in a DSLR or mirrorless camera. Often I hear people say that they can get better results from their cell phone camera than they can with their DSLR or mirrorless camera that they own. This is usually because the user does not know how to properly use the camera or does not take the care that is needed to adjust settings on their camera for different situations. A smartphone camera automatically sets everything to make your photo look good. Smartphones today will often have a live photo option where when you take a photo, the camera actually records a short video and uses an algorithm to decide which photo in the series of photos is the best one. This is extremely helpful when photographing things like pets or children that move quickly and unpredictably. There is no doubt that smartphone cameras are replacing point-and-shoot cameras. There's no reason to carry around a separate device that can give you similar results. Some advanced point-and-shoot cameras offer features not yet available on smartphone cameras, such as large optical zoom ranges, larger sensors, and manual features, in addition to a more ergonomic design for holding the camera while taking photos. There are accessories you can buy to clip onto your phone to create different effects, such as lenses that will help you take macro photos with your phone and other lenses. Personally, I think these types of accessories are a waste of money, but they can be fun for young photographers to play around with inexpensive photography equipment to experiment with their photography. Alright, now I'd like to introduce my guest for today. My guest is Diane, and she's my mother, and I wanted to bring her on the podcast to talk about cell phone photography because I would say that she's sort of an average user of cell phone cameras, and she doesn't actually own another camera. Her cell phone camera is what she uses as her camera for all her photos. So I wanted to talk to her a little bit about some strengths and weaknesses that she finds with using her cell phone as her camera and just cell phone photography in general. So we were talking a little bit before this and about some of the complaints you had, and one thing I know was that it seems like you're always showing me like, why are all my photos blurry?
It's hard to hold that camera still in your hands, and I take repeated pictures hoping that I'll get one that's not blurry. And that's a problem that I have, because when you have a camera, you have something to hold on to, where your phone, you don't have that as much.
Yeah, your camera is a flat piece of equipment, whereas the ergonomics of a camera have like a grip on a lot of them.
Yeah,
so you have something to hold on to. Yeah,
exactly.
And the lens to sort of put your hand. So yeah, the ergonomics, that personally for me, even point and shoot cameras, I don't really like using them a lot now because I'm so used to having that nice grip to hold on to the camera and keep it steady.
Exactly.
Another thing that we've talked about is that it's sort of cumbersome to get to the camera. So whenever you're wanting to take a picture, like of the grandkids or of the dogs or something, you have to unlock your phone or find out where the photo app or camera app is. So it's not like you can just whip out your camera. I mean, in some ways you can, but
there's that delayed.
Yeah.
Your grandchild or your dog's right there, and you think, oh, why you want to get that picture until you get your phone out and go through all the motions to get to where you need to take that picture. You've lost the pose sometimes.
Yeah, and that's one thing I had mentioned earlier, that a lot of phones have like a live mode now with taking pictures where it'll almost show up like a short video. And I don't think your phone does that. My phone that I have is a little bit newer, and I know whenever I first got it, I was just amazed at how much better the pictures were because of what they called the live photos, where what it does is it actually takes a short video and then sort of chooses which photo it thinks is the best. And that's really helpful
That
for
sounds like a good feature.
yeah,
Definitely,
for like dogs or little kids where there's a lot of movement, and you can always go in and sort of choose which frame of the video clip that it takes you want to be the actual quote photograph. But still, that doesn't address the concern, oh, I just want to whip out my phone that's in my pocket and take a picture right away.
But on the same hand, with a camera, you might not have the camera with you. It's kind of like you have to plan to take your pictures or have a photo shoot, and to get that same picture, just at the spur of the moment, is not always as easy to recreate it. Or
yeah, and that's one positive of the cell phone cameras, is that you have your cell phone, it fits in your pocket, it fits in your purse, it fits in your bag. You always have it with you because you're like, oh, I've got to have my cell phone with me because what if something goes wrong, or what if I need to call somebody? I don't know what we did in the days before cell phones, but the cell phone is always with us, so we always have a camera now. So yeah, and I think about growing up, and it was on usually special occasions that the camera would come out because, well, first of all, film, you had to go through all that, getting it developed and this and that, and the expense of that. And plus it was, the camera was a whole separate thing, contraption that you had to carry around. You had a bag with it.
exactly right. Yeah, it's not just something you always had with you.
Yeah.
And looking back at old pictures, that's what they are. It's like a birthday, a Christmas, a special holiday.
Yeah, there's only... And with your cell phone, they can hold, hundreds, thousands of photos.
Yes.
Another thing you had mentioned to me as sort of a downfall of this cell phone cameras and photography was the sort of the screen and printing the photos. Whenever you take the picture, it seems like it sort of only lives on your phone. So you were saying about photos only living on your phone, and it's sort of, we used to always get pictures printed out, and every picture you took would be printed, and now you take hundreds and thousands of photos, and maybe occasionally you'll print a handful, but a lot of times they just live on your phone. And if you want to show someone, you just show them your phone. If you want to show them a photo, if your screen size is small, that's all the bigger the picture's going to be, which in some ways is good because, as I had mentioned previously, since the sensor on the phone camera is so small, trying to enlarge a picture from your cell phone, it's going to degrade the quality of it. So viewing it on the smaller cell phone screen isn't necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, it sort of ends up just being on your phone and that's it.
Yeah, it's limited.
But on the flip side of that, it's very easy to share. You can share to Facebook, you can share to Instagram, whatever social media you want to. You can send it to friends and family, text message. So
I like that.
That's definitely a plus
yeah,
side.
That's a big plus.
Yeah, because the camera is connected, whereas before, like we were saying earlier, the camera, you got it out and it was sort of a special occasion, a birthday, a Christmas, something like that. And that's all it did. It just took pictures, whereas this multi-function device can do so much more. Another thing we were talking about earlier was video on your phone, which is again a great tool to have something in your pocket that you can just whip out and take a short video. But there is a drawback, and it's more in the way it is used, and that is that a lot of times I see people recording video on their phone holding the phone vertically. And whenever you think about TV and screens like on computers or TVs or anything, they're all horizontal. And I know you were talking about, you've viewed videos online before and they've been from a cell phone that was held vertically, and it seems so constrained and so small. And
exactly, definitely small.
Yeah, just because you're not using the full, size of your TV or your computer screen with the video. And that can be easily remedied by turning your phone and shooting horizontally. But at the same time, it goes back to our earlier discussion of ergonomics is, well, is it more ergonomic to hold it vertically and hold it still? Because when you're doing video, you want it to be as still as you can. But yeah, holding it horizontal, you got to make sure your finger's not over the lens.
Yeah, you don't want to take a picture of your finger.
No, so yeah, there's sort of that drawback. But that's one thing I just wanted to address in general during this episode, was that vertical video it's better than nothing in some cases, but I think a lot of people are disappointed to be like, well, why is it only on the middle of my TV? Like if they upload their videos to like their computer or their smart TV or something, they're like, well, why is the video only in the mid? What's all the blank space? And it's like, well, because it was a vertical video. And on your phone, when you hold it vertical to play back, you don't notice it because this
fills up the screen.
The screen's vertical. I mean, if you tilt your TV vertically, it would be fine. But yeah, so that's just one little tip or thing that I wanted to address, because I see a lot of it and I think, oh, I wish I could tell that person, hey, hold your phone horizontally, because you'll thank me later when you're viewing this on your computer or your TV or something.
For sure, yeah.
One last thing I wanted to discuss with my special guest here was, and we were talking about this beforehand, was the zoom range of your phone camera and sort of the resolution along with that. And I had mentioned earlier before our discussion that phone cameras often use what's called digital zoom whenever you zoom in. And what that does is it actually isn't using the camera's optics to zoom in. it's actually just cropping the photo. And the more you crop a photo, the less resolution you have. Some people say it's better to take the picture and not zoom in on your phone and just crop it afterwards. You know, it all depends. And there are some phones that do have some optical zoom now. They're usually higher end phones, but we're starting to see more of that, but it's definitely not to the range that you can get out of like a point and shoot camera or like a DSLR or mirrorless camera. And certainly not the resolution, because as I said earlier, the tiny sensors that are in cell phone cameras can't compare to a much larger sensor in even a point and shoot camera that are many times larger than the small sensor.
Makes total sense how that works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, just with that, I take a picture and then I try to zoom in, and you just can't do it with your phone camera.
Yeah, it just doesn't have A, the resolution, and B, the optics of the lens to zoom in. Yeah. Well, thanks to my special guest here, and I have some closing remarks then. One more thing I wanted to talk about regarding cell phone cameras and cell phone photography was about cloud storage. Now, cloud storage is sometimes a good thing and sometimes can be a pain. Cloud storage is what automatically backs up your photos from your phone. However, oftentimes this will remove the photos from the phone and leave just a thumbnail on the phone. If you tap on the image on your phone to view it, your phone will have to re-download the photo for you to actually view it. Otherwise, you may see, if you are scrolling back to really old photos, you'll click on an image and it'll be blurry for a moment and then clear up. That's usually because the phone needs to re-download the image from the cloud. If you're trying to access photos that are on the cloud storage and your phone does not have enough storage to download the photo, this then creates a problem. My personal suggestion is that you should retrieve your images from the cloud using a computer. Go to whatever site that is hosting your cloud storage, such as Google Photos or iCloud, and download your images to the computer from there. This is easier because computers often will have a lot more storage capacity than a smartphone, making it easier to save all your photos and use them for whatever you need. Cameras on smartphones are constantly evolving and becoming better every year. While a cell phone camera can be a powerful tool for many people, it cannot replace some of the great control offered by a DSLR or mirrorless camera. Even though your smartphone may have 20 megapixels, they are crammed into a sensor smaller than your fingernail, which will in no way yield the same quality results as a 20 megapixel full frame 24 by 36 millimeters sensor. Alright, well, I think that's all the bad advice I have for you about cell phone photography and cell phone cameras for this time, so I'll see you later, Shutterbugs.